Hey there, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the podcast from the Songwriting Circle. It's obviously a podcast about songwriting and a topic that is very dear to my heart. And in this first episode, we're going to talk about some basics of songwriting, and we'll take a couple of examples and we'll see what we learn, and hopefully we get to spend a little bit of time together. Certainly do not hesitate to contact me in the comments section or otherwise, and or on the website songwritingcircle.com. And then we'll take it from there. The first thing that I would like to convey is that you don't have to be good at songwriting to be a songwriter. I think we get better as we work on our craft. I think we get better by having the discipline of writing often, and we don't have to share the results. So this is not a situation where we should feel bad about ourselves, or we should feel bad about maybe the perceived lack of quality of what we do. I would strongly encourage you to write just for you. Eventually, if other people like what you do, that's pretty cool too. But realistically, that's not the number one reason why you should be songwriting. Although I'm not going to tell you why you should be songwriting. But just please write is really the point. Just write. And a lot of people would like to be songwriters, would like to start writing, but they're not too sure how to do that. And so the number one example, or the number one piece of advice that you're going to get out there is write what you know. And there's a lot to be said about that, I suppose. But I don't necessarily agree with that. And mostly the reason why I don't is because, again, I don't want to put limits on people. Maybe some people don't want to write about what they know. Maybe they'd like to write about something they don't know. Maybe that's what's interesting to them. So I would say that try and define your win. In other words, when you look back on the experience of writing a song, how do you know that you won? How do you know that this was a fun time? How do you know that you accomplished your goal? If you set that up from the start, then you're good to go. You can't fail. If your number one reason for songwriting is to be published in Nashville, well, that's one thing. If your number one reason for songwriting is just to have a good time at home with a guitar, it's a different win. And there's no wrong answer here, as long as you're going to be honest with yourself as to what your win is, your personal win. I personally write songs because I can't help it. It's just, it is what it is. I wrote a song once, in the chorus it says, "We write songs because that's who we are." And I believe in that. I think that is literally who I am. This is what I do. And I'm not saying I write good songs. As a matter of fact, I'm not even worried about that. I don't even think it would be for me to say, "Oh, let me tell you, I write good songs." No, it's who cares? I've written songs I never want to listen to again. I've written songs I will never record. I've written songs that I think, all right, that one stacks up pretty well as far as what I like about songwriting. So the whole idea here is freedom. We have enough things in life where we're being dictated what to do, how to do it, why to do it, when to do it. I've been interviewing songwriters for a while now for my website, and I was very intrigued by the songwriting process. I wanted to know, how do people write? And right here in Southern Maine, we have a lot of really talented songwriters, people that I really enjoy going out and listening to their work, or buying their CDs, or telling other people about, hey, have you heard that song by so-and-so? Great stuff. And so I've been interviewing these people for a while, and the one salient point that came from this whole affair is there is no one way to write a good song. It's the most liberating feeling ever. It's the most inspiring feeling ever. Just write. Whatever your way of writing is, that's great. Nobody can tell you otherwise. And that's fantastic, you know. I have a friend who relocated to Nashville, and you can check him out online. Jay Bragg, Bragg is his name. And Jay writes very much in a Nashville way, and he did so before he moved down there. For Jay, writing is a scheduled event. It's Tuesday at 10 a.m., therefore I'm writing a song. That's it. It's not a question of, am I feeling inspired in the moment? What else is going on in my life today? No, it's a scheduled event. It's a it's carved out of his normal daily schedule for writing purposes. I have another friend, his name is Pete Dubuck, and Pete is in a band called Gunter Brown, gunterbrown.com. And he is the sole songwriter for the band. And Pete might go a good 6 months without even touching a guitar. And then one day he'll be walking across the living room and see it there, and he'll go, I'll just pick it up. And out of that, you get a song. And they're good songs. So these two gentlemen write great songs. The way in which they do so could not be further apart if they tried to find, each polar opposite of the spectrum. So the bottom line is, that's the first thing you should probably think about is, well, what's your win? And two, how do you want to write? What's your method? Is it just picking up a guitar or a piano? Although it's a lot harder to pick up a piano. Dang things weigh a ton. But, is that how you do it? Do you have an instrument you'd like to write better on? Maybe you like writing on a piano better than on a guitar because you have that keyboard in front of you. And maybe you like to write words first and then figure out a melody to shoehorn them into. Maybe you like to come up with a chord progression you like, and then you figure out what the words are. There is no wrong answer here. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you would try all of the above and see what works for you. I'm very fond of painting myself in a corner when it comes to songwriting. I'll give you an example of that. I had this line in the back of my head, and the line was, El Paso, I love you, though I've never been there. Well, it makes literally no sense. How can you love a town you've never been to? So now that's the first line of a song. Now I got to figure out the rest of the song. That's the corner I painted myself into. Now the truth of the matter is I am at that stage manufacturing a song. This is not something that's on my heart that I want to express. It's not a cathartic pursuit. It's not current events that really stayed with me and I wanted to talk about that. No, it's just purely manufactured for the sole purpose of writing a song and learning something in the process. Now, I've never played that song live, and I probably never will. Because quite frankly, I don't think it's that good. I just wanted to know, can I do that? Can I start with something nonsensical and somehow end up with a song that stands on its own, So yes, I can. I can't make it really good, but that's my own limitations. And I do believe that if I continue to work at this songwriting craft, that eventually I'll get to something worth talking about, worth sharing, worth recording, maybe worth performing live. And maybe one of those songs, will have an impact on somebody else. And maybe they'll go, oh man, that's my life. That's exactly the way I feel in my heart. And I never really put it into words, but there it is, it resonates. And that's really what we want. That's what we're going for. At least that's what I'm going for. You don't have to agree, that's for sure. So find out what your win is, and then just do it. Just write. Is your first song going to be a hit? I don't know. Mine sure wasn't. Heck, I still don't have a hit. And that's okay. That would be nice, don't get me wrong. But it's not necessarily my win. And so it would be a fringe benefit, I guess. Dean Dillian wrote this fantastic song, and he was trying to be a singer-songwriter at the time. Emphasis on songwriter. He wanted to be known as a singer, and he wrote his own material. And this young gentleman called George Strait heard the song and says, that's great, I won that. And Dean Dillian now had a decision to make. Was he going to keep that song in which he really believed for himself? But then there's just so much more to being successful as a recording artist than just a good song. It's a great start, but there's so much more going on there. Or was he going to give it to a young George Strait who was already pretty well known? And George Strait told him, listen, you give me that song, I guarantee you a number one hit with it. And so Dean Dillian thought about it and he said, well, I may never make it as a singer, as an entertainer. But if I give that song to that guy, I'm getting a number one hit. And in those days, a number one hit meant basically $500,000 in the bank. So guess what he did? He gave that song to George Strait. And in that moment, his win changed. He was going to be the singer-songwriter guy. He became a songwriter just about only. And worked out pretty well for him. If you look up his discography, you'll be shocked at how many #1 hits and whatnot this gentleman has. So in his case, it worked out well. But as always, what is your win? Define it and then act accordingly. It's okay to manufacture a song if you're looking at it from the standpoint of trying to learn something. I'll give you another example. I happen to be a pretty big fan of Kenny Chesney's. And Kenny Chesney came to town as a songwriter. He ended up obviously becoming a performing artist and is remarkably successful one at that. But originally he came into town as a songwriter. Amusingly enough, he's written a lot with Dean Dillion that we just talked about, actually. But anyway, so one day I manufactured a song for myself, and the idea was, let's pretend that Kenny Chesney called, because obviously Kenny has my number, and that he asked me to write a song for him. That's a pretty cool premise. Well, what that really entailed was going back to his music, his recorded music up to now, and listening for, are there themes that come back, that are recurrent in his writing? Are there chord progressions he seems to be into? Are there tempos that he is into? Are there genres of music that he delves into and records? And from that systematic study of what this guy does and has done already, I ended up writing a song that had a lot of the answers to those questions in it. By the way, Kenny, if you want to record the song, just call me, man. Just, I'm sure we can strike a deal. But silliness beyond that, I thought that was a very interesting way to write a song, because writing a song for myself comes to me in about 15 minutes. Because I know what I want to say. I know what makes it for me. I know what gives it that juice. I know what gives me my, yeah, that was fun. Because I'm me. So I know what's in my head and in my heart. Writing for somebody else is a lot more difficult. And so I learned a lot about how those songs are constructed. I may never use any of the knowledge I gained that day ever again. And that's fine. It was just fun to go through it, both as a writer and as a musician. And I do believe that somewhere along the line, some quality content came out of that. And so maybe not the very next song I wrote, but maybe I don't even realize that another song I wrote 3 months later was, fully informed by some of the skills that I picked up from that particular exercise. At this stage, I would like to tell you, by the way, that if you go to songwritingcircle.com, you will find exercises there that will, maybe help you go from, I wish I could write a song, to, well, let's just write one. Let's just see what happens. And those exercises are basically little premises that tell you, hey, how about you write a song according to this, or on this topic, or with this first line, and then take it from there. And if you do that, by the way, please contact me. I would love to know what you came up with. That would be really cool. Or what your experience was. I would love to know about that. I would love to talk about that. That would be really fun. So please don't hesitate, ever. Just write. I think if there is a message in this particular rambling that I'm involved in right now, it is just write. Start. Or if you stop for a while, start again. Or if you're doing it, please keep doing it. We need more songwriters in this world. We need more art. We need more creative people, and we need them to flex their creative muscles. We really, 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 really do. Because if you think about it, art is all about love, and God knows we need more love. So, there you have it. Please help us get more love, is what I'm asking. And I would love to hear your songs. I have a love for songwriters and for songwriting and for songs. So, by all means, let's most definitely stay in contact via the website or otherwise. That would be awesome. So anyway, write a song. Write a song. Please, please write a song. If you have questions, if you don't know where to start, ask other songwriters. Have you, for example, thought about co-writing? I've written about, I wouldn't even put a number on how many songs I've written. I mean, I try to write 3-4 times a week. So it's a lot of songs. Let's leave it at that. And I'd never co-written with anybody until a couple of days ago, where I decided to try that. I didn't know if I would like it. I didn't know if I was any good at it. I didn't know if there was going to be any value out of it. So once again, I defined my win. And my win was Well, when I'm going to learn something, it's a new experience, which is always a valid reason to do something. The second thing is, well, I know the gentleman who came over to my house, and he's a super good dude. So I knew at the very least we were going to have a good hang, and we're going to have a good time together, even if we did not end up with a song at the end. We wrote 2 songs, by the way, in an hour. But the cool part of that, by the way, is that after my buddy left, I was so jazzed from the experience, I wrote another song. So I ended up writing 4 songs that day, or writing 2, co-writing another 2. And that's a good day by any standard that I can come up with. So maybe co-writing is your thing. Maybe you go, I always come up with great lines, great words, great hooks, but I can't find a melody to save my life. Well, I guarantee you that in your circle there is somebody with the opposite problem who comes up with melodies left and right, but he can't put 2 words together, or doesn't care to, or doesn't enjoy it, or whatever it may be. So why not get together and figure it out, And there again, you have a decision to make. And one decision could be, well, I'm going to on purpose go with somebody who writes in my style. I like to write Americana songs, for example. That's what I like. I like songs that tell a story. I like songs that have something to say. I'm not big on most of pop music, because it seems like they have one line that they repeat the entire song, and that line is not even that interesting to start with. So that's not my thing. I understand a lot of people love it. That's why it's pop. It's popular. So that's great. Good for them. Personally, 0 interest. I like a song that tells a story. I like a song with a plot twist. I like a song with character development. That's what I personally like. And so I can choose to write songs with somebody who writes songs in that same format. Or maybe just to stretch myself a little bit, maybe I will, write with a rapper. Totally different cadence, totally different way to rhyme, totally different way to approach the writing. And certainly, melodically speaking, again, a bit of a word apart. So yay, yay to learning something new and to experiencing it. And again, there's no wrong answer here. We don't end up with a song at the end, whatever. We tried, We end up with something we like. That's pretty awesome. So stretch yourself. If you don't want to start writing on your own, then maybe find a co-writer and see what happens. No wrong answer here, folks. No wrong answer. As long as you're honest with yourself, no wrong answer. That's not often in life that we can say that whatever happens, it'll be a positive. It's not every day, but songwriting gives us that. Gives us that. So why not, is what I'm saying. Anyway, I would love to hear about your process. I would love to hear if you have questions about starting. I would love to hear about you. What's your experience like? What you're into, why you're doing it, maybe why you're not doing it, why you would like to do it, why you wouldn't like to do it, whatever it may be. I would love to hear about it, so don't be shy, let me know, and maybe we can continue this conversation another time. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Take good care.